Hare Krishna, everybody. Welcome. This is Krishna Dasa. Today we are going to have the revision, second revision of the second chapter. So before we begin, let me say the prayer to Guru and God. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurum Militamena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, so are you all ready for the revision? I see almost all the volunteers are here. Okay, I don't see Monica ji, but that's okay. We will start with the revision. So the first question is, what is Shri Krishna's advice about rising above the three modes of nature or gunas? Asha ji, you want to answer?
Yes. So, the whole Srishti or the Prakriti, am I audible?
Yes.
The whole Srishti or the Prakriti is made up of three gunas. It's Sattva, Rajasa, and Tamasa, or made up of, or I'll say composed of in the different proportions. So, the Sattva indicates the goodness, Rajasa, the passion, the Tamasa, ignorance. The gunas creates or feed the ego. And this ego is the one which binds the soul, divine soul, with the body. The God, which is the creator of this Srishti, is above or beyond these three or gunas. We are the tiny spark of the God, and our ultimate goal is to self-realization or God realization. So to realize the God, definitely we will have to go beyond the gunas. So we must need to get to raise above the gunas. Vedas gives us the technique to transform ourselves from tamasa to rajasa, or from rajasa to sattva guna. So there is one story of three robbers. Many of us might know, but I'll tell here that three robbers caught one person in the jungle. One of that robber says, let's kill this person and rob him. The another one says, no, we'll not kill him, but we'll bind him and then rob him. So they bind that person and then run away. After that, the third person come back and release that person, and then he not only releases that person, but then gives the direction to outside of the jungle. So these three robbers are, referring to these three gunas. The one which says, let's kill this person is nothing but the tamasa. The one which says, no, will not kill him but bind him is indicating that rajasa guna. And the one which is saying like, one which is releasing that person and, redirecting that person outside the way of outside the jungle is nothing but the sattva guna. So, Sattva Guna is definitely redirecting the person towards the God realization. But it is definitely it is a guna, which the gunas are binding the soul to the body. So that's why we need to raise or go beyond the gunas. So Krishna is advising us like how can we raise ourselves beyond the gunas. Krishna is saying in the 2.45, Krishna is saying nirdvandvo nitya sattvastho niryoga kshema atmavan. So nirdvandvo means do not get disturbed by the dualities. We have already seen like what are the dualities like sukha dukkha, profit loss, or success failure. These are the dualities. We should not get disturbed by these dualities. This is nothing but the nirdvandvo. Nitya sattvastho means always established in the sattva guna. So how can we establish in the sattva guna? If we are aligned with the dharma, then we will be always in the sattva guna. Then third one is the niryoga kshema. That means stop running behind the things. We are always are running behind the money or the name, fame, this kind of things. So stop running behind these things and preserving these things, because these running behind the money and all these things are it indicates the rajasa guna. So we have to stay in the sattva guna. That means we need to leave this tamasa or rajasa gunas. And the next one is Atmavan. Atmavan means we have to focus on self-realization. So to focus on self-realization, this Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, these things are helping us to focus on self-realization.
Very nice. Excellent. Excellent summary. Thank you so much. I think you're really good in explaining. So the one of the very important things you pointed out was how the gunas bind the soul to the body, and that is what keeps us in this ego consciousness. And just one quick thing I want to add is one of the techniques Krishna said is samatvam. So this is where we have to practice samatvam, and that helps us transcend these gunas. So excellent, Ashaji. Thank you so much. So closely related, can you explain Krishna's advice for performing duties without attachment? And also, I think that leads to pragma 3.
Right. Yes. So pragma 3 says, always choose the rightful action over inaction and never be attached with the outcomes. So the actions are deterministic and the results are probabilistic, because we have the right to do our prescribed duties, but we don't have right to choose outcomes. And this should not be our excuse for being inactive. Whatever is happening, the cause is God. Don't be in a confusion or Brahma that we are the cause of anything. So this is very easy to understand, because every word is very easy. But if we see, it is not that easy to absorb. I'll give very simple example. The parents, and the parents, not maybe not from this satsang family, but in general, the parents, whenever our child come back from any exam, the first thing what we do is we ask him what you write in the exam, what you wrote, why didn't you write, how you write the exam, and everything. Actually, the action has been done, but still we are trying to attach with the result, and we are actually letting our kids learn this thing only, which is wrong. Actually, after knowing this pragma 3, I could realize these things, like how we are trying to attach with the result. This is one example. Another example, let's suppose we are going by the road and we saw any accident. Then if we think anyways, the result is not in my hand, why should I rush him to the hospital? That's not right. That is that is the excuse of being inactive. We should do our action, like to take that person to the hospital. That is what our action is. And let's suppose that person gets survived. Then we should not think because I took him to the hospital, that person survived. That's wrong. If that person is survived, that is because of God. We should not take the credit of this to ourselves. Then actually definitely the God, who is the creator of this world, has giving this advice. But at the same time, some of the great people are also giving the similar kind of advices. So why I'm mentioning those names and the advices here, because they might have gone through it, and that's why they're telling us these advices. So Harsha Bhogle, which is the famous cricket commentator, what he's saying is, hard work is in our hand, luck isn't. So why worry about it? Work hard and take whatever you get. The another one, Vala Afshar, who is the chief digital evangelist of Salesforce, who's saying, don't chase money, titles, compliments, rather chase the education, ways to help, meaningful work, happiness, love. Now, whatever the list he's saying to chase is the action, and whatever the things he's saying not to chase, these are the fruits or the outcomes. So it's similar to our pragma 3. Then the billionaire investor Howard Marks, he is also saying the quality of decision can't be judged based on the quality of the outcomes. The good decisions can result in a bad outcomes. which is also similar. Another thing, one more thing, so James Clear, who's the author of Atomic Habits, he's saying, why focus on the process when the word is outcome driven? He's telling us the answer. The result definitely matters. But it is, if you optimize for the outcome, you win one time. If you reach to the great outcome, you can win again and again. He also emphasizes on the second line, which is mostly ignored by many of us. It's saying the pain of inaction stings longer than the pain of incorrect action. So outcome mindset prevents us from making one mistake, but the process mindset prevents us from using the mental model that caused the mistake. Hence, prevent hundreds of other potential mistakes by addressing root cause. So these people are also telling us to concentrate only on the actions and do not worry about the outcome. I can, I want to tell you my own experience here, my personal experience. So what happens like after a maternity leave of 4 to 5 months, when I rejoined I was working in the Infosys company, and at that time, when I rejoined, uh, I got a project which were having very hectic schedules, like timelines, back to back deliverables. I accepted that project because I thought like I'm lagging behind because of this 5 months of break. I did a hard work, but what happens? I did not get the promotion, so I was upset, and my manager was he realized that, I did not get the promotion not because of the work which I did. I did or not did, but because in the Infosys there is a one policy, like if you complete your certifications, then only you'll get promotions. Otherwise, you'll not get. And the schedule was very hectic, and my 4 months of baby, everything, because of all these things, I was not able to complete the certification, and I did not get the promotion because of this very obvious reason. In the final conversation with my manager, he realized that I'm upset because I did not get the promotion. But then whatever he told me, I can connect that thing with this pragma 3. He told me that you're focusing on the promotions, but I know you did the hard work and still you did not get the promotion. But if you concentrate like what you have achieved in this uh, in this time, you are only focusing on your professional growth. You have done lots of personal growth. The person which another person who got the promotion is not married yet, but you have got your baby. And another thing what he said, like after 10 years, when you look back your professional career and your personal life, you'll be happy. You'll think like, no, maybe I did not get the promotion at that time, but I have done a lots of progress in my personal life. And that same thing, when I look back and I compare, it doesn't matter at that time I did not get the promotion, it doesn't matter. So if at that time I would have known this pragma 3, maybe I wouldn't be that much upset because of this, because I was concentrating only on the promotion thing or the outcome of whatever hard work I was doing or I did. That's why I got upset. So
Very nice.
now I realize like this pragma 3, whatever happened in my past, that I can connect these things with this pragma 3. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Thank you. Excellent. I really appreciate all the efforts you have put in. We can see that it's a lot of original content, and I really liked your punchline. Actions are deterministic, but results are probabilistic. That's really awesome. Thank you so much, Ashaji. Very grateful for your contribution. So we can go to the next question. Can you explain the importance of evenness of mind, Sujata ji?
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna says, "Be steadfast in the performance of your duty, abandoning attachment to success and failure." This is evenness of mind, and this evenness of mind is called yoga. Yoga means to concentrate the mind by controlling the ever disturbing senses. This means you will have to keep a steady and a balanced mind at all the times, in all the conditions, under all the circumstances. This is no doubt very difficult, but you will have to discipline the mind through constant practice. Uh, Further, just to give you an example, it's like, imagine you are in a plane in the skies when a storm breaks out. Now you cannot stop the plane and you cannot stop the storm. The best option is to stay calm, so that you can take the right action at the right time. So the key to developing this calmness of mind is provided in Vedanta through the studies of Sama and Dhamma. Sama means control of our mind and Dhamma means control of our senses. Once we practice Sama and Dhamma, we will achieve the Samatvam, which means calmness of mind and equanimity of the mind.
Yeah, very, very nice. You put it very crisp, concise, very nice. So yeah, Sama Dhamma. Sama is mind and Dhamma is senses. So sometimes if you cannot do Sama, you do Dhamma. And then, in other words, your mind is telling you, no, go do this. Now you're not able to control the mind, but if you can even control your senses and your body, let the mind keep saying what it wants to say. That is also one approach to discipline the mind. Thank you, Sujata ji. So the next one is, according to what we learned in chapter 2, why is attachment the cause of pain and suffering?
Yeah, this is a very big topic actually. But let me just put it in a short version. So Krishna says attachment refers to an emotional investment in the outcome of our actions. When we are attached to the results, we become attached to either success or failure or pleasure or pain, and we are swayed by our desires and fears. This attachment is caused by our ego, which ultimately leads to pain and suffering. So Lord Krishna says that those who perform actions with expectations of certain results land to be misers. On the other hand, when we perform the actions without attachment to the results, we become free from the emotional burden of success or failure. We do whatever needs to be done without desiring or worrying about any particular outcome. This is what it means by acting in without attachment, and it allows us to perform our duties with clarity of thoughts and equanimity of mind. When we have clarity of thoughts, we are able to discern what is right and what is wrong, and we are able to better understand what is aligned with dharma and what is not. It also makes it easier for us to understand what our duties are and what are the rightful actions. What rightful actions we need to take at any given point in time.
Very nice. I think you also have one more line here that says, Krishna is advising, Yogastha Kuru Karmani.
Yeah. Act without attachments and develop evenness of mind.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So, I think the message is pretty clear, as Ashaji very beautifully explained the first part of it. You also explained it so well. So, we have to keep doing our duty. Krishna never says, don't work hard or don't try to achieve your goals. That's not what Krishna is saying. All Krishna is saying is your focus should not be on the outcome. Your focus should be on the process. Your focus should be on what you have to do. And then the results, let us see, whatever results come, you accept it with equanimity. So this is what happens. Usually when somebody succeeds, they immediately want to write a book on how I succeeded. In other words, they think for some reason, they think it is all them. They are so great that they succeeded. They will never accept that luck was on their side or something divine force was supporting them. Let us not worry about the outcomes is the key message. So if you do something and if it fails, you don't have to really feel too bad about it. The only time you have to feel bad is if you think you have not done what you are supposed to do. Like, have you bought the ticket? Have you planned your journey? Have you made sure that you reach the station on time? You've done everything. In spite of all of that, the train got cancelled. Now, there you don't have to feel bad because that was not in your control. But if you're supposed to buy a ticket and you're sleeping till the last minute, you didn't buy a ticket, then yeah, go ahead, feel bad because there the failure is on your part. You didn't do the needed action. But you did everything, but the outcome is failure. Don't get attached to that. The attachment is what causes pain. So thank you so much. We go to the next one. Can you explain what we learned about overcoming this dense forest of delusion? Moha khalilam. Rajesh ji?
So, moha khalilam refers to the mire of delusion or also dense forest of delusion. What is delusion? Delusion mainly arises from ignorance or avidya, which causes individuals to misinterpret reality, and become attached to the material existence. In Bhagavad Gita, verse 2.52, Lord Krishna is advising Arjuna the importance of transcending delusion that binds him to the material existence. Krishna is emphasizing to rise above attachment to results of his action and the limited understanding provided by the Karma Kanda section of the Vedas, which are mainly focused on the ritualistic things like doing certain things will give you certain material benefits. So Krishna is encouraging Arjuna to go beyond the mere intellectual understanding of the scriptures and experience the higher state of consciousness through direct spiritual practice. This process will enable him to achieve a state of detachment, which is also known as nirvedam, which is essential for the spiritual practice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh ji. Thank you. You're very right. Moha khalilam, dense forest of delusion. See, delusion basically means you are stuck to some belief. And even if evidence is in front of you, you don't want to change your mind. You don't want to change your belief. That is delusion. And that will never let you succeed because you will never see truth. You will only see your version of the story. And that is what Krishna is saying. But the most beautiful part of it that we should all introspect is even the aspect of devotion to Krishna. Krishna says, let that be a devotion, not delusion. Because if you're blindly saying Krishna is everything, Krishna, 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 a lot of people, they preach that way. Everything is Krishna, everything, but you don't understand. You're like, why am I doing Krishna, Krishna, right? So, Krishna himself has led the example. That is why the Bhagavad Gita happened. That is why Arjuna asked hundreds questions. And so Krishna is encouraging. Krishna is just saying, as long as it is pariprashna, ask. Clarify all your doubts. Then understand wholeheartedly that I am Krishna, I am God. Then you be devoted to me. So even in devotion, Krishna says, don't have a delusional mindset. So it's kind of very deep. So thank you again, Rajesh ji. Can you explain the difference between Vairagya and Nirvedam, Rajesh ji?
So, Nirvedam refers to a state of indifference or disinterest towards the sensory world and its experiences. It's a mental state where one is no longer affected by desires, attachment, as well as aversions. In this state, individual is not enticed by the attractions of the material world and is unaffected by the both praise as well as criticism. So Nirvedam is achieved when mind transcends the mire of delusion or moha khalilam, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita verse 2.52. Whereas Vairagyam is a conscious practice to let go that attachment and pleasures of the material world. And this detachment is achieved through a cultivation of dispassion and non-attachment, which allows one to see the impermanent and illusory nature of the material existence. And so Vairagyam is an essential prerequisite to actually go to a state of self-realization and enable the seekers to focus on the pursuit of ultimate truth. So we can think of Vairagyam is one of the steps for us to reach the state of Nirvedam.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Because the ego is attached to its own identity. It's unreal, small identity. So ultimately you have to let go of that also. And that attachment also has to go. Only then you can realize the true identity. So that is why Vairagyam is so important. You constantly practice detachment to everything, and eventually you can be detached from your own false identity. Excellent. Can you explain difference between illusion and delusion? Deepali ji?
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. So delusion comes from ignorance. As a result, we as individuals tend to misinterpret reality and get attached to material existence. Similarly, illusion is when the mind comes with its own stories and images. So Shri Krishna is guiding us by telling us that we should not get caught in a dense forest of delusion, also referred to as moha khalilam. If one gets into this forest, one can get lost and will not know if they're going deep inside the forest or they're coming out, as it is directionless and without any signboard. Shri Krishna also tells us our intellect to understand that these scriptures are our guide to self-realization. Without understanding the real meaning of these scriptures, we will go in a circle similar to the dense forest. Therefore, for self-realization, we just need to surrender to Krishna and follow his teaching. And there is no need to follow any scriptures or rituals, and with which we can get out of this dense jungle of illusion. So delusion is referred to as a dense forest, and illusion is referred to the scriptures and rituals. We should not get lost in either of the two, rather surrender to Krishna by following his teaching, and this will help us in self-realization.
Good. Slightly different perspective. So basically the moha khalilam happens when we get into a game of cause and effect. So for example, if there is a ritual that says if you do this, you will get a child.
Yeah.
But maybe you are not karmically entitled to get a child.
Yeah.
Now you are going and performing a ritual with the intent of getting a child. But how do you know how this actually impacts your karmic entitlement further? How does it impact later in your life? How does it impact in your next life? You don't know. Just like, there is a saying, when some saint, they try to save your life, sometimes they say that they borrow some life from your next birth. I mean, I cannot go into a lot of detail because I'm not an expert, but I'm just giving an example. But this is something you cannot understand. We cannot understand because that karmic accounting is very complex. And that becomes a delusion. That becomes a dense forest of delusion, moha khalilam, because you don't know what is happening to me. Why is it happening? Is it karma from this life? Is it karma from past life? Is it because of some cause that I don't understand? See, so don't get into all that. Krishna is saying, and surrender to me. So illusion basically means you think like the deer. The deer thinks there is water because it looks like water. But in reality, it is not water. So that is illusion. Okay. Delusion is even when you don't see water, you keep running behind it. You have been already running for 2 days, but now you have a belief, a false belief that if I run fast, I will get water. There is no evidence because evidence says you already run and it's already proved to be an illusion. Why are you still attached to that illusion? But you don't listen. That is delusion. So thank you. Thank you so much. What's the difference between samatvam and sita pragya, Deepali?
Yeah. So samatvam is a Sanskrit word wherein sama means equal or even, which also means that which has equal or even-minded consideration towards all human beings. Samatvam is considered a very important topic in Bhagavad Gita, wherein Shri Krishna explains us that we must constantly strive to be in the state of samatvam, that is able to maintain a mental balance in pleasure or pain, success or failure, gain or loss, and remain equipoised in all the situations. And thus, by practicing samatvam, we should perform our duties without getting attached to the results, which all of us have been saying in the previous questions. All have been answering the same thing. With this, because if we get attached, we can weaken our attachments to material objects. This will help us to achieve vairagya and keep us away from moha khalilam and take us closer to God realization or self-realization, as we say. And sthita pragya comes from the two words. Sthita means existing and prajna means wisdom and intelligence. Both combined together mean someone who is contented, who's calm and firm in judgment and wisdom. Therefore, we must wholeheartedly surrender to Krishna to realize our true self. And the only way we can do this is by practicing sthita pragya, that is calmness of mind and fixed in divine consciousness at all times.
Thank you so much. I gave you this question because you had this question yourself when we were going through the session. So samatvam is a state of mind.
Yeah.
And we can practice samatvam. Sthita pragya is a person. So a person who is always in a state of samatvam is a sthita pragya. Okay, so good. Why is it important to know the qualities of someone who is a sthita pragya, Deepali ji?
Yeah. So refer to the Bhagavad Gita verses 2.54. It is important to know the qualities of someone who is sthita pragya, as one should not get swayed by the external appearances of a person. You may come across people dressed in religious clothes, giving discourses externally. However, they may be very negative in their personal life, lacking true spiritual knowledge. Whereas you may come across a person who is very simple, simply dressed and humble, but he may be very spiritually advanced with immense divine knowledge. Also, Arjuna wanted to know about the qualities of sthita pragya, thereby reiterating that true spiritual attainment cannot be judged by external appearances, but only by the internal state of mind of an individual.
Yeah, very good, very good. So two quick purposes. One is most of the problems in the world happens when people follow the wrong leadership and they are misled into all sort of evil activities, because we shouldn't go by external appearance, as you rightly pointed out. So that is the first intent. The second intent is Arjuna wants to be a sthita pragya eventually. That's his goal. So Krishna is telling him, how do you know that even you are becoming a sthita pragya? So from a context of what we learn from the Bhagavad Gita, it is not to judge somebody else, whether somebody else is a sthita pragya. It is for us to measure whether we are going towards the state of being a sthita pragya. So all the lakshanani that Krishna explains, it is for us to ask ourselves, oh, do I check mark this? Do I check mark this? Okay, this still remains to be taken care of. So you gradually follow those attributes and eventually you become a sthita pragya. That is the actual goal of that. Thank you again. Deepaliji, much appreciated.
Can I give a practical example, like in our day-to-day life? For example, like I'm working in an office and I have my colleague Sulata and I have my big bosses who are highly achieved, highly accomplished, well-dressed, very polished, and then you tend to. And here is a simple lady. So, I mean, this person must have achieved a lot in his professional life, but when I look at Sulata, spiritually, she's an advanced, like, much better. I mean, that's the way I was connecting to this particular question of yours. You're getting what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes. Totally. Of course, you should also again remember what Ashaji said in her explanation. Some of them are accomplished not because necessarily of what they did. Some of them were just, they had the grace of God that lifted them and put them somewhere. So it's all, you are right. Sulata ji is definitely a elevated soul. Thank you for being here, Sulata ji. Although she has become a bit silent these days. In the previous batch, she used to be a lot more vocal. So, why is the world called Mriga Trishna in the scriptures, Suchita ji?
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So from Advaita Vedanta, this world, though unreal, appear to exist and is the cause of lifelong suffering to an ignorant person, just as a non-existent ghost is the cause of fear to a boy. This world has been called Mriga Trishna in the scriptures, meaning like the mirage seen by the deer. In a hot desert, the deer thinks it sees water in the distance and starts running towards it. However, the mirage or illusion of water keeps appearing only at a distance, and the deer can never reach it. The deer eventually dies thirsty and exhausted. That is exactly how most human life. We spend all our lives running behind illusion created by Maya in the illusionary world and die unsatisfied and unfulfilled, unfulfilled happiness through any material pursuit.
Very nice, very nice. If I can give a funny example, I hope nobody gets offended, but I had a young friend who once told me, I really want to get married. And I was like, why do you want to get married? And that person said, oh, I want to be happy in life. I think marriage will get me happiness. And I said, look around you. there are millions of married people. Do they all look happy? That's Mriga Trishna. There's nothing wrong in marrying, and it is even awesome if you are happy in marriage. But thinking that is what is going to give you happiness is an illusion. Because like that, there are so many things in life. Some people say, I want to, buy a Mercedes. I'm like, why do you want to buy a Mercedes? It's like, oh, because that will give me happiness. I'll be happy. I'm like, I can show you many people who drive a Mercedes and they look really miserable. I don't see them happy, so that is illusion. So we run behind so many things. The point is, do what you have to do, but don't be under any false illusion that is going to give you happiness and keep you happy for the rest of your life. It's not. The only true happiness will come when you practice samatvam, become a Sita Pragya, surrender to Krishna. Can you explain the technique that we can use to handle pain effectively, Suchita ji?
Yes, Guruji. In the olden days, warriors were given training on how
Suchita ji?
to manage pain,
okay.
a measurement, and the anxiety of.
You froze.
I think your network connection got bad.
Is it okay now?
Yes, it's better now again.
Okay. So should I start from beginning?
Yeah, please.
In the olden days, warriors were given training on how to manage pain. A majority of our pain comes from the memories of past pain and the anxiety of what pain will come in future. As long as we stay focused just on the moment and manage the pain at that instance, then the pain actually becomes more manageable. We can use the same technique to keep our mind calm during miseries. Let us not brood over past painful memories and let us not live in fear of what miseries may come in future. Let us just focus on the current situation, current moment, and try to handle whatever is there at that instance. Once we practice this, it will gradually become easier to maintain calmness during unpleasant or painful situation. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Very concisely put. Thank you so much, Suchita ji. What is Krishna's recommended technique for managing our material desires? Ekansh ji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
everyone. So, here in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has stated that desires are like fire. So, as we have seen that fire increases as soon as you add butter to it or ghee to it, so similarly, desires are like that. When you give on to your desires, it is like a fire. It will increase more. As Prabhuji told before, if you buy a Mercedes, people think that it will make you happy. But after that, you have completed your that desire. You have another desire to buy an Audi, or you have another desire to buy more expensive car or more luxury gift, right? Similarly, it is like a fire. Or we can take another example as well, where which was also given by Prabhuji in this class, that a smoker has an habit whenever he smokes a cigarette or he drinks alcohol, he always think that it will be his last puff or it will be his last drink. But as soon as he give on to that smoking thing, he fulfills his desire. The next day that desire has become more stronger, and it becomes more difficult for a person to quit that intoxicating habit and have more urges to consume it. So Krishna has given us two techniques in Bhagavad Gita which we can follow. The first technique is to become like a tortoise. As whenever there's a danger in front of tortoise, it it withdraws his all limbs inside his shell and it is protected. Similarly, whenever there's a lot of desires, you just you just not give on to those desires. You just particularly withdraw your mind or withdraw your limbs, withdraw yourself from that situation. The another technique is Lord guides us to exchange the thought of desires with the thought of God. Whenever there's a craving for any desire, replace that thought immediately with the thought of a God. It can be done by chanting holy name of a God. Similarly, when you are becoming jealous of somebody, or if you have any situation, or if you are stuck in any situation, or you have a lot of desires to do something, just chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. That is what I have started doing, and it really helps a lot.
That's very encouraging. Thank you, Ekanji. Coming from youngsters like you, it's very encouraging, very motivating. Thank you. If I can quickly tell you one example, that this was very eye-opening for me because it happened last week. So I have an employee who has serious anxiety issues. Serious means serious anxiety issues. I mean, that person can suddenly start shaking and that person cannot sleep at night. They have many nights where they don't sleep just because they can't help. Serious anxieties, and they can't even explain why. And so I've been having some sessions trying to coach that person, and I guided that person to go to a professional counselor and all of that. So long story short, last week he was telling me that the counselor gave him a technique for dealing with anxiety. The technique was, the counselor said, whenever he feels anxious about something, change your thought, replace it with some thought that makes him happy. And I'm like, wow, I know that teaching, and I was very surprised that even psychologists, modern day psychologists, are using a similar technique. And what is more important is, this person told me that it is helping him, and he started finding some sleep at night. So it works. Is all I'm trying to say. So Hare Krishna. So our senses are powerful and turbulent. Can you explain the 5 animals and what lessons we learn from them, Ekanji?
So the senses, sure, Prabhuji. So the senses are really powerful and can disturb your mind. They are so violent that they can just scrap you up. Even many rishis fall for these senses despite being involved in deep meditations for a long period of time. As we have seen in our past times, we have heard about many stories in Guru Granth Sahib and many for our rishis. Whenever they are in a deep meditation, they sometimes fall for a beautiful kanya, or you can say a beautiful lady, because of their senses, right? But whereas some other people fall for other things, right? So if it is really hard to control your senses. So Krishna says that it is natural for all of us to follow these senses. What matters is that how consistent and passionate you are on your spiritual path, how consistently you are following up and moving forward to put aside your senses and put your all mind thoughts onto the Krishna. So I'm going to explain, with the grace of Krishna, I'm going to explain about the 5 animals. The 5 animals were, according to the Adi Shankaracharya, the 5 animals are Karanga, Matanga, Patanga, Meena, and Branga. Karanga is deer. The deer has a weakness for a sense of sound, so a hunter can play melodious music and the deer will just stand still, and then the hunter can shoot it down. So similarly, the ears, whenever we hear something, because of the ears, we get sometimes so excited, or sometimes you get so angry because you don't have control on your senses, right? So sometimes we hear to something, or sometimes we get a lot of distraction through hearing things, right? So another one is Matanga. Matanga is elephant. The elephant has a weakness for sense of touch. When the hunters want to catch a wild elephant, they usually send a female elephant who goes and touches the male elephant, and the male elephant gets so engrossed in that touch that it loses the sense of the world and does not even resist when the hunters come in and chain it. So it's like we can see in our day-to-day life, as it is a Kali Yuga, many of the youth or many people are falling for this sense of touch after being married or being having being married. They still fall for some other people around the around their in their society. So it is also the another sense which we don't have a control on, and it can also be done. You can bring it under the control through the Hare Krishna Mahamantra chanting. Another one is Patanga. Patanga is the moth. Moth. We have seen moth many where we have seen that in India also on many dhabas and restaurants. They have a light like substance, and the flies were getting in there and getting died by themselves because they were so attracted towards the light. Similarly, the moth has a weakness for the sense of light. To catch a moth, we just light a lamp and the moth just flies into it and perishes. Right? Another one is the Meena. Meena is fish. So to catch a fish, always a fisherman has a bait on that string. So whenever fishes come and bite that food and they get caught into that string. So another, you can say another sense which we have to control uh, is on our sense of taste, because this taste can be also very distracting. We have seen, I have heard about a story I would like to share with you all. There was a one person. Can I?
Can we keep the story to the end, because I think I want to give everybody time. We are almost out of
Sure,
time.
Prabhuji.
Okay,
Sorry,
thanks.
Prabhuji.
No
Yeah.
worries.
So the another one is Branga. Branga is a bee. The bee has a weakness for the sense of smell. It is constantly attracted by the sweet smell, and whenever it goes to some of the flowers, it gets stuck into those flowers because of that sweet smell. It destroys itself. So from these all examples, we have seen that we get that these animals are, due to their senses, they don't have control onto it, they get destroyed. Similarly, we as humans, we don't have any control on any of our senses. We have all of these senses like hearing, listening, having light, and seeing things, and for the taste. So it is really tough for us to pass this examination, to cross this seven seas and go to the Krishna. If you want to go, if you want to liberate yourself, it is really important to get control these senses. On these senses. So God has given us a mind to control these senses, and after that, and we can use our mind to divert these thoughts and action towards the Supreme Lord.
Very nice. Thank you. Thank you so much. So I can quickly summarize the next one also. So basically, the point is, Greek philosopher greatly said that what is freedom? You think you're all free, but how can you call yourself free if you are a slave to your own senses? How can a slave be free? So that is very profound. So the point is, you are truly free only when you are free from your own sense attachments. Like I cannot control, my tongue wants something, I just can't control. That means you are not in control. So you are not free. So that is a very profound reality for us to understand. And so as Ekanshi mentioned, there are animals who perish because of weakness of one sense, and we, the great humans, we have weakness of all five senses. So we are actually leading a very dangerous life. And that is why thinking about sensory objects becomes a cause of failure on the spiritual path, because you think, the more you think, the more it draws you. So Ekanshi, we will come back to this towards the end. Why does Krishna ask us to avoid both attachment as well as aversion? Alapji?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So basically, Krishna is saying, he's saying, whenever his mind is occupied by thoughts of attachment or aversion, basically that means thoughts of likes or dislikes, one can easily get carried away in those thoughts and start contemplating, means thinking about the same thing again and again and again. It makes the attachment to that thought really stronger and stronger, and one can get caught in this unnecessary cycle. So we should just try and avoid and replace those thoughts by thinking about God. Shri Krishna is saying that by doing this, you will be granted the grace of God, or God will give you blessings, basically.
Very nice, very nice. So aversion is pretty much just the opposite of attachment. There are two sides of the same coin. So just like you should not think of something, you cannot not think of something. This was the example we took. And so the key is replacing. Always think of Krishna. Can you explain the teaching of Paramahamsa, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who says, Egiye jao? Alapji?
Yes, so Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa explains this to his disciples with a really good example of a woodcutter. So the woodcutter is basically cutting wood in the outskirts of the forest, and a saint passes by and says to the woodcutter, "Egiye jao." That means move forward. Initially, he doesn't understand, but then he just tries to follow it. And then when he goes further ahead in the forest, he finds much better quality of wood. And in that way, he's making more money. So he gets really excited and he says to himself, let me keep marching forward. And so he goes further deep in the forest and cuts wood. And slowly, he starts making more money, and he discovers further into the forest copper mines, gold, and diamond. This makes him again a lot of money, and ultimately he becomes one of the wealthiest. So just like that, comparing to one's journey, most of us are just staying in the outskirts of the forest. So we should try and not get satisfied just there. Rather than we should try and keep moving forward into the spiritual knowledge that we are trying to attain. And one day we'll start slowly discovering ourselves, and we'll find our own copper and gold, and achieve our ultimate goal of self-realization, so that all we have to do is just egiye jao, just keep moving forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know you have a very super hectic time, Alapji. So I really appreciate, in spite of all your business needs, you are spending time here. Much appreciated. God bless you.
Thank you, Guruji.
So egiye jao, basically, as Alapji nicely put, it just means don't stop. So we discuss. Initially, you may feel even getting up is a big problem. So you start waking up and you feel good about it, but then don't stop there. I mean, that was just the first part. Then start having good diet, then start having good association, then start having reading good books, then start doing chanting. Don't stop. Keep doing, and you will keep experiencing more and more bliss, and keep going until one day you will be eternally blissful. Is Monica ji here? I don't see. There are so many people who have video off and I can't read the name. So if Monica ji is here, shout out. Otherwise, we can pass. So what is the best way to domesticate our senses? Smita ji, you want to give it a try?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can try, Guruji. Hare Krishna, everybody. So I think the position of this question is great, because everything that the other devotees have said, it crystallizes to this question. So one way to domesticate our senses is trying to practice self-discipline. And also, since our senses or our whole body is made up of the three gunas, so try to increase the sattva guna in us, which will kind of give us the control to rein in our senses. So, and also practice, embrace the impermanence of any situation. I think the main reason that we kind of get riled up or kind of react rather than act in any situation that doesn't please us is our senses are not domesticated, and we are not able to accept that, okay, this situation which is uncomfortable now is actually not permanent. We kind of react to it in such a way that this is going to be permanent, and this is going to last long and change everything and things like that. But like there's a very famous saying, this too shall pass. So even that situation is going to pass. So the ability to actually realize that this is an impermanent situation is what will kind of lead to domesticating our senses. And how you can domesticate our senses is basically practicing certain self-discipline, and also trying to cultivate spiritual knowledge. So by spiritual knowledge, what I mean is you have to dig deeper into yourself. Understanding the nature of ourself will kind of give us that that ammunition to basically realize that everything in life, everything that you see has duality. So if something is good, something will be bad. Like any opportunity that comes to you will always have a pro and con. Like it could be a best job opportunity, but it would be like, okay, you have to travel, or you have to put in like 14 hours of work or 18 hours of work. So it always comes with the duality, just like the day and the night, the sun, light and darkness, and happiness and sadness, that way. So I think accepting that duality and rising above that duality will also lead to domesticating our senses. So embracing impermanence, accepting the duality, and all this will come only when we kind of put in certain steps to achieve this, like cultivating our spiritual knowledge, having a self-discipline, like, a focused meditation time, and also perform duties without attachment. Another thing that is because, like, for example, I can give an example in Mahabharata, when all the war was over. Shri Krishna and the Pandavas, I don't know how many of us have seen, I'm pretty sure everybody has seen, but still they kind of go to meet Gandhari and Dhritarashtra, and at that time Gandhari will say, Dhritarashtra will say, I want to hug Bhima. So Krishna will tell not to go near him, because his mind is so agitated that actually his son lost and they all died. He would have actually embraced him, and because of his power, he would have kind of crushed Bhima. So, which Gandhari recognized, and she will say that because, in fact, she will curse Shri Krishna himself, like saying that because of you, all this happened, and like how she lost hundreds of kids, like even that Yaduvamsha, that Kula, everything is going to go away. But that's a very good example that Krishna has led by example. His senses was domesticated, and he accepted that. He did not kind of react to that and say anything like, your son was wrong, they were wrong, that's why this happened. Nothing. He just accepted that. So that acceptance itself, kind of, he's led his entire life by example, which is what Bhagavad Gita is. So I feel he has shown us the way. So yeah, I can go on, but this is the general essence.
No, thank you. Really appreciate, and this ad hoc response is much appreciated. Thank you so much. So you're right.
I mean, that was one example, but right.
Yeah. So the key, as you rightly pointed out, is one of the best ways to domesticate the senses is the same way we domesticate a wild animal, by tying it to a pole or a tree. Like that, we tie our senses to the yoke of God consciousness. So everything starts from there, and then you practice everything that Smitaji said. Practice equanimity and
embrace impermanence.
Embrace and impermanence. So one quick thing I want to say, for example, if you see a sweet, you see a chocolate or something, and you really want it, right? At that time, I mean, it may not be very effective, but one of the additional thoughts you can have, apart from replacing it with thought of God, is tell yourself, I mean, it is made of milk and it's made of cocoa, and those things all have expiry dates. So imagine the same chocolate, how it will look 2 years from now if you keep it outside, and say, oh, is that what I'm really running behind? So somebody rightly said, especially when it comes to attraction to people, somebody said this attraction is just chemistry. And every chemical has an expiry date. So what happens once the chemical expires? Then what happens, right?
You have to get out of the lab someday. So. You can't be in the lab all the day. So it's something like that. Yeah.
Very nice. So in the interest of time, I think I will wrap up the revision for now. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. At the end, I would definitely want to come back to Ekan. She had a story. Whoever is busy, whoever wants to drop, may feel free to drop. But if you have time, please stay on and let us hear what Ekanshi has to say.
Hello, Hare Krishna, everyone. So I just heard this story on YouTube. It is a famous Sakhi from Guru Nanak Dev Ji's story. So in that story, one person was sitting on his deathbed, and that person was a very big businessman in his village. So he used to do a lot of charity, and he used to distribute a lot of food among many people, poor people. But while he was lying on his deathbed, he just has a small sense, and just had a small sense of having some food. but after that he just died, and after that his son took over this throne, and his son and we usually have a religious ceremony that is Shraddhs. Everybody knows that in the Shraddh you give food and clothes to the pandits, and this way we think that that this food and will go to our pitras, will go to the our ancestors, right? So this man got to know that Guru Nanak Dev Ji is also present in his village, and one Brahmin told him that if you call that saint to your house and give food to him, that will definitely go to your father, because he is really well to known and he has really spiritual powers. So the man insisted Guru Nanak Dev Ji on to come to his home and have the food. While sitting there, Guru Nanak Dev Ji asked, "Why are you giving me this food?" So he told, if I give you this food, it will go to my father. Guru Nanak Dev Ji just stood up on his seat and told him, "You know where your father is?" He said, "I don't know. Your father is sitting in jungle and he is hungry from 3 days and he hasn't got any food till yet. So if you want to make him liberated soul, you need to come with me and see what he is doing over there." So when they went there, they see a fox was sitting under the tree and was looking very hungry and very angry at that time. Guru Nanak Dev Ji told, "This is your father who is sitting over here." He said, "How could he be my father? He used to do a lot of charity. Why he is not in Swarg, or he is in an ancestral plane, or why he is not with Krishna or with the divine Lord?" Guru Nanak Dev Ji told, there's a thing about it. You can ask himself. First, put this food in front of him. So as soon as his son went to put the food, he was also scared that this fox will kill him or do something. But as soon as he put the food, the fox ate the food and just died at the spot. And when the fox died, the soul just came out of the fox body, and he could see that the soul was his dad actually. So when they communicated, the son and dad, the son asked, "Dad, how did you got this birth as a fox?" He told that when I was dying, I just had a smell from the other house of they were cooking some meat, and I just at the last moment I just had a feeling or urge to have just that meat. That desire, when I had that desire in my mind and I just died, and when I went to the Patal Lok, they told me that this guys want to eat meat, send him to this birth where he is fox and he can eat a lot of meat now. So he got that birth. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji also told them, whenever you distribute money or do charity, this is material concept. It stays with you in this birth. If I am doing some charity, I will get it fruit in some other year or so. But before my death or before I'm dead, this things will be cleared up. It's like the only thing goes with you is your spiritual name and the desires. But if you have done some charity, you will get it fruits in this birth only.
Very nice, very nice. Good story, excellent story. And Shri Krishna will also say something positive twist to the whole thing. Krishna will say, at the time of death, if you can think about me,
yeah, you will get liberated.
Yeah, and there's a whole science behind that. So, but there is no cheating. You can't say I will do whatever I want throughout my life, and just when I die, I will say Krishna. It's not going to happen. So we will go through that whole science that Krishna has given. But really appreciate that, Ekanshi. Your enthusiasm is much appreciated. Heartfelt thanks to everybody. I know we are way over time today, so I'm very grateful you all stuck together. Hare Krishna. So this concludes the biggest and most intense chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So I think we should all give ourselves a nice round of applause and say thank you to Krishna for his grace, letting us complete this chapter. And next week, let us start another very important chapter. Of course, all chapters are important, but the next chapter is Karma Yoga. And there Krishna will dive deeper into the concept of karma. So it will be very interesting. So Hare Krishna, thank you so much. See you all next week.
Guruji, I had a question.
Can you please turn on your video when you are talking so that I know who is talking to me?
Prabhuji, she is my younger sister. She just passed her 10th boards. she just joined the class today because she was also, the teenage problem she was suffering from that. I told her to get connected with Gita and you will get a lot of answers. So it's her first session today.
Oh, nice. Did she go?
Jia Chawla, the one
Jia ji,
you were
did you
talking
get a
about.
chance to go through the previous notes? Because that will give you a lot of context.
All right, so
Yeah, because Ekanji should share the notes, because second chapter is pretty intense. I mean, if you are joining right at the end, you will have a lot of questions, but many of them will already be answered in the previous ones. I'm sorry, I just saw the chat. I can see that you asked a question, and that question has been answered. It's partly like Ashaji also answered that today. But if you can please go through the previous recordings and notes, and if you still have questions, I'm happy to take it up in the next session.
all right, it's okay.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Bhaiya.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Bye.
Krishna. Bye bye.
Hare Krishna.
Good night,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.